Ladies and gentlemen, young Bromsgrovians, a very warm welcome to you on Saturday morning. For those from our own prep school and those from other preps, those who are day pupils, those who are boarders, those who are joining us from who knows where around the world. If you've woken up very early to watch this live stream, thank you for that. And for those for whom this is the first time you've been into the senior school, in particular, welcome. This magnificent facility is our arena, and it is, amongst many other things, the place that we hold our weekly, very formal assembly, full school assembly. We get all 970 senior students and staff in here at Ralph Assembly every Monday morning. You are here to make an important series of decisions. You don't have to make them today. I think you've got a few days before you have to respond electronically about option choices for Year 9 and by implication for GCSE next year. And we will shortly move into some information giving that will assist you in that and more importantly get you out and about and visiting the various departments in the senior school. Before we do that though, it is a good opportunity for me to just welcome you, both the young people who will join Year 9 and you as families who by implication will also join the senior school. And in doing so, to just talk a little bit about our expectations and your expectations of us. Let me start though by checking who has done that homework. Would you raise your hand if you have read the Headmaster's blog and watched the video? Appalling. I don't blame you for not wanting to read what I might write, but you must watch that video. If you do nothing else today, go home and watch it. Because the technology implications in that video are our current reality and they will be yours too. And I don't, as I said in the blog, mean to chastise or lecture parents. I am far from being a perfect father. I know how hard the job is, but it is a salient piece of video to watch with respect to what your young people's lives are like in terms of digital media and phones. So go home and do your homework. I want to start by referring to an article that appeared in the media earlier this week. You may have seen it, an open letter to parents from a departing head in another school. I shan't name either her or the school. Maybe you read it. It's the sort of thing that heads dream about deep in the night, that maybe one day we can just say what we really thought. She, unfortunately, is quite critical of the fact that she has seen a significant change in the relationship between families and schools in the time that she's been in the job. And having done this job for some 30 years, I would probably echo those sentiments. There's neither right nor wrong in that. It is what it is. It's a function of the times we live in. But this is a good opportunity for me to perhaps remove any barriers that may occur as you make quite a significant transition from the years of preparatory school into a high-performing, high-functioning and highly academic senior school. She touches on two things that I want to talk about. The first is that she says back in the day, when you were in trouble at school, that meant you were in trouble at home. That certainly wasn't my experience growing up. Now, blind acceptance of everything that the headmaster and the school says is not necessarily what we're on about, but support for the school is most important. And the way that you can best support the school is to understand where we come from and why we have rules and regulations and expectations that we have. And we'll do our level best in the coming weeks and months to ensure that you are very clear about what is the norm in this school. She also refers to another phrase that's become quite common in the media recently, and that is she talks about your young people as Generation Snowflake. Maybe you've heard that term. In all the years I've been teaching, it's always very fashionable for sociologists to label a generation. I've taught the millennials and the Gen X and Gen Y and who knows, the last of the baby boomers. So she talks about Generation Snowflake, which if you can't work it out, is the generation that is perfect and precious and absolutely unique, and the minute there's a little bit of heat, they melt. And in fact, I think that pejorative term is probably more disparaging on parents than it is on children. And I don't believe in a generation snowflake, or at least I don't accept it. It is true that we care about our children. We would be hopeless parents if we didn't. And I don't think that's any different than my parents in the 60s or me parenting in the 80s. It's just the reality. We care about our children. We want no harm to come their way. We want the best for them. But it is absolutely critical that we equip them for life beyond our care. Because if they don't leave our care, and I mean you as parents and us as a school, with some degree of resilience, they will not survive in this world. So if by Generation Snowflake, my colleague in her open letter was referring to parents who think they are doing the right thing by protecting their child from every possible piece of pressure in their life, and in fact are making things harder for them down the track, then yes, I agree with that. That isn't my experience at Bromsgrove, and part of the reason for that is that we pride ourselves on the relationships that we have with our families. We will work together with you first and foremost to get the best academic qualification that your child can attain. But at the same time, we are working to make sure that they are equipped with the skills that they will need to succeed in life beyond the qualification they frame and stick on their wall. We will make them resilient. We will make them self-reliant. We will give them confidence and courage and curiosity. And we'll do that working in partnership with you. So what might you expect as you move from either Bromsgrove's preparatory school or another prep school into the senior school? Well, firstly, those of you who are in our prep school, you can expect much of the same. Mrs. de Reed does a magnificent job in upholding and maintaining the school's ethos and values, and nothing changes. We pride ourselves on how well-dressed our young people are, and although your youngsters, your year 8s may be telling you that actually in the senior school we're allowed to wear makeup and jewellery and go unshaven and have our shirts out, I'm sorry to disabuse them of that, but that is not the case. We have equally high uniform standards, and they will be adhered to. It's as simple as that. You will also find teachers as caring and as professional and as interested in your children as you have discovered in the prep school. We have a significant pastoral umbrella in the school to help young people deal with the pressures that I just referred to, and they will always be looked after. You move into a much stronger house system. That's in no way being disrespectful of the prep school. It's just the reality. In this part of the school, in the senior school, there are 11 houses, and they are physical buildings, and your child, whether they are a boarder or a day pupil, will have their own space. They will have their own small family or community. They will have their own house parent who looks after their daily pastoral needs. And the addition, as you move to the senior school, is that they will each also have their own tutor, which is an academic member of staff who will have no more than 12 or 15 tutees to look after, and they will know everything about your child's life, the academic, the sporting, the cultural, the social, the worries they may have about the transition. Their job is to meet with them 2 or 3 times a week, not for long, but enough to have regular contact and know what is happening in their world. And your first 2 points of contact in the senior school are always the tutor and the house parent. I know that in smaller prep schools it's often common, because you're at the school physically picking children up, sometimes that you will talk to all manner of people. It's not that we don't want you to talk to other people, but for us to do the best job for you, we channel everything through that hierarchy of command. So, tutor and house parent. If it then becomes a bigger issue, teacher, head of department, deputy academic, deputy co-curricular, deputy pastoral, and so on up the chain. If you follow that course of contact, you'll get the best advice. So those are the things that are the same. There are some differences. The snowflake metaphor relates to the fact that life is pressure. And the social media that I just referred to in the digital age is a big part of that for our young people. I'm glad I'm not 13 in 2017. I could not imagine the pressures that our young people are under just because of that little black mirror they carry around. It is a busy place, and we contribute to that busyness. And we do so unashamedly, we do so carefully, but we do so unashamedly, because it is a proven recipe for success. You chose this school, either when your child was 3 or 7, or just now at 13, because of what we stand for. You need to trust us that we've got a recipe that works, and that recipe includes a holistic balance. We are not just an academic hothouse. We are, first and foremost, an academic institution. I'm not wearing this because I'm cold. I'm wearing it to send the message that this is a high-performing academic institution. Top 7 for IB in the country, in the top 15 for A-level. 100% of our children go to university. Last year, 82% got their first choice university. That's a huge statistic in our world. And I won't bore you with the value-added stats because they're quite complicated to get your head around. I'm still struggling. But the reality is we're not highly selective. We have a minimum academic entry standard, but basically we take who we like and we do an awfully good job of moving them a very long way, and that's judged by an independent government authority, the value-added. So we get it right academically, but we're not an academic hothouse exclusively. We want your children to be involved in sport and physical activity. We want them to be involved in cultural, musical, creative pursuits, and we most definitely want them to have some sort of service experience in their time in the senior school. And there will be some compulsion around that, and we make no apology for that. If that's not what you wanted, you wouldn't have come here. So get used to the fact that your tutors and your house parents will be saying, what sport are you doing? What cultural contributions are you making? What service activities are you involved in? Get used to the fact that cramming all of that in a 6-day week, and it is a 6-day week. If this is a novelty for you here on a Saturday morning, you need to get used to it. We work on Saturdays. We play sport on Saturday afternoon, and if you're in a sports team, you play. That's what loyalty is about. In the mornings, boarders are obliged to take part in our co-curricular activity program. It's optional for day pupils, but I despair that day parents who are paying a significant fee to come to the school don't take advantage of the wonderful opportunities that are available on a Saturday morning. That's where our extra tuition clinics happen. That's where the rich breadth of co-curricular activities from archery to pottery to everything in between occur. It's yours for the taking. No one wants to get out of bed on a Saturday morning. Kick them out, send them to school, leave them with us. We'll do good things with them. And Saturday afternoons, they'll play for the school. And sometimes they'll be thrilled about that, and sometimes they'll be a little bit grumpy and drag their heels. But the fact of the matter is that I go week after week after week to reunions of old Bromsgrovians who are in 20s, 30s, 40s, last week men in their 80s, and they remember with such fondness and such passion being part of a team, being part of a corporate, a community, and that comes from loyalty and commitment while you're here. You don't get to make it up in 20 years' time. So that's what you bought into. And we do well. League tables say we are the 4th best sporting school in the country, yet we're not a sports academy. We've just put £11 million into performing arts facilities that will be open in September, October. We aim to do the same thing and take our reputation for music and drama and dance to the same place. That's what your child can be part of. But it requires discipline from them and from us, and your support. And that's what we ask of them. The other thing is that life gets a little more complex up here. You've been used to an academic smorgasbord. We put as many tasters of as many different subjects in front of you as we possibly could. But now you're dining a la carte. Now you have to make some choices off that menu. We'll do everything we can this morning, and shortly, in 1 minute, Mr. Rubin is going to talk to you about that process, and then you'll have the opportunity to talk to colleagues around the school. They are important decisions, but they're not life-changing and life-threatening at this stage. We've taken the decision to go 3-year GCSE because we know we can do the best possible job to give you that first platform as you then make your IB or A-level choice. If you don't make the right choice, it's not the end of the world. There's still time to change. But as I say, this morning is also an opportunity to start to get you into the habit of how you might react and relate to the school. Our job is to make sure you're clear about what we stand for. Your job is to support that. I'll always explain our rules and standards. I will never justify them. If you want what we offer, what for 500 years has been successful, then you're in the right place. But it's not a sweet shop. We don't get to say, I like that rule, but I don't like that one. I like that opportunity, but I don't want that one. This is a holistic, unashamed, Renaissance-style traditional school. and we do a good job. And I ask you to trust us. I know you already have, that's why you're here. I ask you to make the most of this morning, but most importantly, I ask you to make the most of our relationship over the next 5 years. With that, I'd like to introduce the Deputy Academic, Mr. Ruby.
Hi, good morning. The Year 9s had their GCSE Choices tour about a fortnight ago, and as I spoke to their parents, I noted how brief childhood appears to be. And now I'm speaking to you about your sons and daughters in Year 8. There are course booklets and option forms knocking around, flying about the ether on websites. The spectre of public examinations is now starting to loom large. Your children will go on to do their GCSEs and their IB exams or A-level exams, and will be sitting their university finals exams around 2025, 2026. These years are obviously more than 40 years after the time that Orwell's 1984 was set, and it dates from science fiction. GCSEs, in some senses, are a big deal, but they're not the be-all and end-all, as the headmaster was saying. It is important for you, for us now, to ensure that children can gain an education whilst taking qualifications. Public examinations, whilst important, are not ultimately what education is about. We all want your sons and daughters to develop their academic flair, discipline and intellectual rigour. We wish them to have an enlightened and a broad education. We seek to ensure that pupils are not merely knowledgeable, but that they are kind and resilient, ambitious both for themselves and for others. Raw intellect is not enough. People should be more than simply clever devils. They should have values. Over the period of the GCSEs, your children will mature and will increasingly develop social and political concerns about the world around them. In the remaining years that your children are at Bromsgrove, as they develop a sense of personal engagement with this world around them, the educational environment will continue to change. Looking into the future, A-levels will have been fully reformed by the time your children hit the sixth form. Indeed, September 2017 is the first time that all A-levels will have been changed. The A-level sixth form reform process has been truly chaotic. The last subject to be reformed was politics. In the summer of 2016, after many committees of debate about how to increase the rigour of politics A-level, it was decided to introduce a new politics A-level paper. I had an interesting conversation with the head of politics, and he looked a little bit forlorn, a little bit deflated. He came to report that the new politics paper was called The UK's Role Within the European Union. He looked like a child who'd just gone into a sweet shop and was unable to spend his pocket money on orange sherbets. He was so sad about it. In general, in the sixth form, modules have disappeared, and the midpoint AS qualification is now largely defunct. Of course, in the shorter term, the issue with GCSEs is more pressing. A star to E grades have now gone. They'll be replaced by a scale 1 to 9. 9 is good. 9 corresponds to a really good A star. An 8 is kind of an ordinary A star, which is still really good. A 7 is an A grade. A 6 is roughly a B grade. The government has told state schools that overall they should be aiming for their students as a whole to be gaining 5 grades. A 5 grade is a pass for student cohorts. The government has also told state schools that individual students should consider a 4 as a pass. In state schools, they're working to either a 4 or a 5, and they've got no idea what their target should be. For joining Bromsgrove sixth form, we aim to keep our entry hurdle unchanged. Our entry hurdle has not changed in the last dozen years. We will be expecting a 6-point average as a starting point, and a 7 in subjects where students are looking to take them forward to A-level or higher level. University entrance requirements will eventually reflect the new grades, both at A-level and GCSE, but at present, universities are still trying to get their heads around the new qualifications. The government has staggered its GCSE reforms. Our current Year 11s face a new syllabus in just English. Our current Year 10s face new courses in many subjects. The final subjects reform only saw their new syllabuses approved just at the end of last year, in November last year. These last subjects were business studies and design in particular has been completely rewritten. The old courses have been scrapped and they built the subject and reimagined the subject again. Our current Year 9s would not have been able to make their GCSE choices last year, as we did not know at the time what options would be available, what courses had actually been approved. However, our current Year 8s, and Year 8s obviously joining us from outside, are in a position where they can make their GCSE options now. In general, the government has been keen to see more rigour at GCSE level, in particular encouraging extended writing to test the depth of real understanding rather than just factual cramming. Modules have gone, as has much coursework. GCSEs have got harder. In February, as always, we informally sounded out our current Year 9s about their GCSE preferences, and we were struck by how narrow their choices were. Indeed, nationally, this is a trend. The new pressure there is on students in Year 11 has encouraged many GCSE curriculums to narrow. There's just so much more challenge, there's so much more course content in the standard core subjects, and students are short of time. We are genuinely desperately keen to ensure Bromsgrovians cover basic core subjects well, that they have genuine choices so that their programmes can be personalised and that they can cope with the overall loading. We want it all. We want to increase choice and flexibility, to increase breadth of study and to maintain quality whilst recognising courses are more challenging. And we want to do all of this whilst recognising that there are only 24 hours in the day and that extracurricular activities also have an important role to play in an individual student's development. It is this aspiration and discussions undertaken in light of the final pieces of the GCSE reform jigsaw being put in place that has led to the decision to ask students and families in Year 8 to make GCSE choices now. It would have been easier not to undertake significant curriculum reform a few months into the delivery of new courses. We could have certainly left it a year, but honestly, we're 100% sure that this would have been doing your children a disservice. Our new curriculum is better for them. This is the sole reason for the change, and when senior school managers came to appreciate this, we felt uncomfortable taking a more pragmatic, slowly, status quo approach. What has become increasingly evident is that running a Year 9 curriculum with lots of taster subjects has left students short of time in Years 10 and 11 to cover the more challenging courses. And this in turn has effectively led to many students taking a smaller range of subjects. Year 9 breadth has led to a narrower Year 10 and Year 11. Students have struggled to take up the taster subjects even when these subjects have appealed to them. By asking Year 8s to make GCSE subject choices earlier, we're able to offer a broader GCSE curriculum without putting extra pressure on the students. There will be more students able to opt into a creative or performing arts subject if they wish. Students who opt into business studies or PE, and many do, will gain more time, significantly more time in these areas. Subjects, obviously, that they never had a taste in Year 9 anyway. Overall, pupils will gain more teaching time in the vast majority of subjects they study. They will lose teaching time in none. Many will gain an extra GCSE choice, none will lose one. So in summary, effectively, the choice of GCSEs in Year 8 will mitigate against the increasing demands on students in Years 10 and 11, reducing time pressures on them, even when adding a little more flexibility into their individual programmes. So what will students be doing in their GCSE years? And what should they be aiming to achieve? Well, that really is easy. Pupils should simply seek to do as well as possible in a broad range of courses. That's all they've ever had to do in the past, and that's all they ever need to do in future. GCSEs are not rocket science. although Michael Gove rather hoped that they would become that. In terms of choices, they're best seen as a package. The aim is to develop a broad base of important skills to be used later, and it's later in the sixth form and at university where that real quality depth is achieved. So let's cut to the chase. What will your sons and daughters be doing over the next 3 years? Our basic core curriculum includes English language and literature, mathematics, a language, a short course in religious studies, and the 3 sciences. These 3 sciences will lead to at least a dual award GCSE grade. However, our curriculum reforms will allow many students to take the sciences in a little bit more depth as separate award subjects, freeing up a choice for elsewhere. We expect all students to take at least one of history or geography. Overall, this core therefore reflects 9 subjects and between 7.5 and 8.5 qualifications, together with compulsory health and movement. On top of this core, 2 further option subjects are studied. So I'll take the opportunity to quickly review the core. English language and English literature are 2 separate subjects which receive 2 separate grades. The courses are assessed by exams. There is no coursework in English anymore. Pupils are provisionally set at the start of the lower form in year 9, and adjustments are made in year 10 as well. But there is some flexibility to move between sets. Setting works in conjunction with religious studies, but operates discreetly, separately from any other subject. Your option subjects do not affect your English set. The religious studies course has both an element of, if you like, traditional religious studies and an ethical element. Christianity and Buddhism are studied. Family ethics and philosophical arguments over war and peace are considered. There is no coursework. In mathematics, all pupils take the GCSE, which is the standard maths qualification for independent schools, as it is perceived to provide a better basic grounding in the subject. Setting in maths operates separately from all other subjects. Again, there is no coursework, and all take the subject at the higher tier level. In addition, top sets will take an additional maths qualification when they get to the 5th form. All pupils study biology, chemistry and physics to, at the least, take the dual award qualification. By taking the dual award, students will have a sound base for taking on study of science into the 6th form and beyond. The dual award science qualification is enough. However, where students are able to, we're keen to see them working towards the 3 separate science qualifications to cover material in a little bit more breadth and a little bit more depth. We expect all students to take at least one language, one from Latin, English is an additional language, Spanish, French or German. All languages studied follow the Edexcel board specification, and courses are therefore essentially identical. Whilst the vast majority will quite rightly wish to continue with the subject they're currently studying, the option of beginner's Spanish is available. Whilst we absolutely recognise that some students are drawn to the grammatical clarity of Latin or German, or the familiarity they may have with French, or the way that some find Spanish may be slightly more forgiving, the study of at least one foreign language we perceive to be a key element of a good basic education. For those who perceive themselves to be serious linguists, we would encourage them to take a second language. In recent years, the vast majority of our students have studied history or geography. Indeed, often they have studied both. The government has also made geography and history effectively first amongst equals amongst the humanities subjects. So do we. We expect students to take at least one of them. Beyond this core, and whilst noting their decisions to be made about the depth of linguistic study, there are still choices to be made. So just to repeat, English language and literature, maths, religious studies and 3 sciences are a given, as is the study of one language. A decision needs to be made about what the pupil's first foreign language is, and also which of the 2 main humanities will be studied. And in addition, beyond all that, there are 2 further choices to be made, which could include an additional language or Well, of course, there are lots of other choices to be made out there. How should you make your choices? Ideally, your children's academic programme over the next couple of years, over the next 3 years, will help them develop self-discipline, mental agility, confidence, and the curiosity necessary to ensure they make the most of opportunities in all areas and so fulfil their potential. Reasonable breadth should be sought, whilst there's obviously also a temptation to try and start to specialise a little bit. The size of the core curriculum means most bases are already covered, and they are already covered well. There's an inbuilt basic breadth. You and your children really should feel that you've got 2 free choices to make. And how should you make the choices? Well, I'm afraid it's a really, really personal decision. I'm the last person who should really be giving advice on what specific subjects you should choose. When I chose my GCSEs back in the day when we operated in different systems, I did as much chemistry as possible, but really it played to my own weakness. I thought the non-existence of aluminium carbonate was bizarre, and therefore in itself knowledge of value. And that's why I chose chemistry GCSE. To be fair, even today when we interview chemistry candidates, I still roast them trying to get an explanation for why aluminium carbonate doesn't exist. On reflection, if I'd spent more time, less time, not throwing carbon black around the chemistry lab, I'd have become a better person than I am today. I enjoyed biology as well, but I've come to regret many, many of my actions in my O-level biology classes. My incompetence at preparing innocent animals for dissection meant many blameless worms were washed down the plug hole, and for this I still have nightmares. I always studied as much physics as I could at school, possibly because having understood not a single word of the syllabus, examiners always had this odd compulsion to give me top grades. I spent endless practicals looking at my peers in group work, and my peers were so clever, they connected circuits in series and parallel, and I just wished I could be like them. I wish I could conceptualise aspects of astronomy that are beyond the size of my brain. But that's how I made choices. How would a sensible person make the right choice? Pupils should be attracted, and they are attracted, to subjects that they enjoy and that they excel at. And obviously these 2 issues, enjoyment and where you're good, where your strengths are, often go hand in hand. If pupils are unsure whether to go for an easy subject or an interesting subject, they should probably go for an interesting subject. This implies that making GCSE choices is a very personal decision, and it is. Pupils should not make choices on the basis of this year's favourite teacher or what their friends are doing. It should be the subject and the personal interest that is driving the decision. If there is a clear career goal, maybe, just maybe, subjects need to be chosen carefully. But as I've already said, GCSEs are not rocket science, and choices at GCSE level do not normally determine A-level or certainly career choices beyond. Perhaps a more important issue is to avoid closing down A-level options. Whilst ideally your A-level subjects will be backed by a GCSE in the same subject, this is not always strictly necessary. In cumulative subjects, when knowledge or skills build up over time, not doing the GCSE prevents the sitting of the subject in the sixth form later. Other subjects can be studied from scratch in the sixth form, even if there's a little bit of catching up to do. Some pupils will wish to play safe. The top universities have relatively recently started to publish lists of their preferred and less preferred subjects, or in their language, their facilitating and non-facilitating subjects. The list of subjects that universities like or don't like refers to A-level subjects, not to the lower level GCSE courses. I have never come across any real evidence that subjects are intrinsically harder or less hard. But you should be aware that if you're looking to take a really traditional course at a really traditional university, they're likely to prefer you taking traditional subjects at an earlier stage. There is clearly some risk opting for a new subject, such as classical civilization, or business studies, or to an extent, PE. Most people take this leap and decide to take a new subject at some point. When people are 3 or 4 years old, the only subjects you study are maths and English. They're the first subjects studied at school, but they're not the most read subjects at universities. Most students, sooner or later, do wish to explore entirely new areas. Truth is, many students will be keen to taste new areas and will like the change. Business studies has an obvious practical appeal, but don't just go for the obvious. Classical civilization should be considered as a really good, varied humanities subject, as good as any if you wish to understand who we are as humans and where we've come from. Pupils should aim to stretch their horizons. Part of the point of getting an education is to be challenged outside one's comfort zone. Don't be put off new subjects. Do recognise the advantages of building in some variety into your programme. It is for this reason we encourage pupils to take at least one creative subject. Overall, given the breadth of subjects already built into the core, the advice is to go for subjects that are enjoyed, where there is genuine interest and strength, and which are to an extent broadening. It is frequently a very difficult call to know what subjects a pupil really enjoys, rather than merely the basis of a particular teacher or who their classmates happen to be this year. But it is the key issue that needs addressing, combined with thoughts maintaining some breadth in subjects. In the following days, the advice of a broad range of people may be sought: class teachers and form teachers. Do feel free to email myself or Miss Green, the Director of GCSEs in the senior school, or Miss Holden or Miss Leach. Do feel free to come to the parents', I've put it down as a coffee evening, but it's not a coffee evening, the parents' drop-in session from 4 o'clock to 6:30 on Monday, if you want to have one-on-one informal chats. We, as a school, when it comes to actually organising the timetable, we do not operate a formal blocking system. We will try to make sure that all pupils' choices will be catered for. However, fairly soon, we will start putting provisional timetables together for next year. Whilst the choice of a subject may yet be adjusted over the next few months, we cannot guarantee that we'll be able to satisfy unusual combinations if forms return late or if people make late switches. But I do promise we will do our best to accommodate late changes. Performance in the GCSE exams in 3 years' time will significantly determine the quality of the university course that is accessible. I'll just say for the record now, Oxford and Cambridge and medical schools currently look at the number of A-star grades that a pupil has at GCSE as the first step of their selection process, and there's no doubt in the future they'll be looking at the number of 9 grades and 8 grades. Please do use your time for the rest of the morning wisely to investigate which language to follow and which other free options to take. Many staff, particularly those operating in core curriculum areas, will be based in the library, and they'll be really keen to address any of your concerns or questions that you may have if you've got a gap between talks. The choice as to what subjects to opt for at GCSE level is a highly personalised one. Please don't feel that you need to make this decision alone, instantly, or unadvised. It is an important decision, but it's not an impossible decision. Enjoy visiting the departmental areas for the optional subjects, and do enjoy reflecting on what they communication and information they provide. Don't fret about options and the freedom there is over there. Enjoy the rest of the morning, enjoy running over possibilities.